right. It is 3 o'clock, isn't it? And at Community CPA, we actually making the 3 o'clock a time to bounce ideas, the time you meet with me. And I actually don't see your face, but I do see your name. And if you log in with the right name, we actually meeting each other. So I know you're there. Hi, Christine. So I know you're there. Boy, why do you change your last name? So I didn't even know that's the Christine I know. Anyway, every Saturday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I am on webinar and talk about the hottest things in the recent world. And let me tell you this, when COVID-19 just started back in the middle of March, and I was a lot more enthusiastic about this is going to get over, this is going to be okay, short time, even if we don't work, we're gonna survive. And you see a lot of good deed coming around community. There are people who hand over gift card, credit, gift cards, meal card to people. So there's a lot of positive hope for better tomorrow kind of thing going on. But with time going forward and it start to drain on people's energy, it is start to make some people lose hope and people start to question, what are we doing? Are we doing it right? And with all of these government help coming in, the unfairness of distribution of money, that taking a toll on many small businesses, okay? And we hear stories, we have our own set of experience, and so we knew how things are going for teeny small businesses. We're not talking about the company who has a way to get $20 million in the first day or two when PPP opens. Here, ordinary people like ourselves, we were struggling to even get the bank to work with us, right? So there's a lot of things that creates dissatisfaction. Then slowly that turn into anger. There's a lot of things that people are experiencing. So if I'm feeling down in one day, I knew there is many of you feeling the same, just like I do. But we're talking about survival here. It really doesn't matter what government gave you or don't give you. Really doesn't matter whether your business goes or not goes. Do you realize that it is only your responsibilities? It has nothing to do with anybody else. And especially true for small business owners, and you don't have any backup. You have just yourself. And you don't really know how to not work because you have been worked all your life, okay? And so it is a really dark place to go in. But this seminar, I am helping you and I'm helping myself to come out of the dark place and to really understand what's going on and utilize whatever we could utilize. Okay, if we can save money for not going to Starbucks coffee so we can have extra money for a meal, that's what we will do. The coffee place is not open anyway, right? So if we can save money to buy things and we're just going to give ourselves a challenge for using up everything in the refrigerator. You know, I did that for myself, and I actually made a point to not buy anything for a couple of weeks, just use up everything in the refrigerator. See how can I be creative to cook a dish that is edible, but I don't spend, right? So turn things into something that make us content, and try to stay away from negative thought. And each one of us is capable of producing negative thought. And the smarter you are, the better you are at creating it. It's just very simple. So knowing that, and we don't go there, and we try to figure out what's in the system. So today, I want to say that one of the biggest survival tip I give you is to try to work the negative out of your system. It doesn't matter how unfair that is. Sure, I know you put in your PPP application in March, and your great banker just don't think you are important enough that didn't fund you. And the last minute you learned, you got an email from the bank goes, thank you for apply. I'm sorry, the fund ran out. How great is that? And if you're one of those, and I understand, and I knew how you feel, and can I save you for that? No, I don't have money to give you. And in fact, we are a service company. When we provide service, we ask money from you. Otherwise, we can't survive, right? So it's really nothing, nobody can help you. And it is just you. So let me go through what's available from the government. And in case this is the first time you join me, and so you learn what's all out there, anything you don't know, worth of studying. So number one trick for you to survive is to learn. Just don't stop learning and getting into government website and just simply getting the knowledge out for your own sake, right? So let's go through a PowerPoint I prepared. And the reason I prepared the PowerPoint is to guide myself not to go off to a subject that I didn't prepare. Who knows? And all the seminars is recorded and is on our website for retrieval. And I want to make sure that you understand everything I talk about here is a personal opinion, and I consider myself ethical, straightforward, and smart. I know what needs to be done, and so I consider myself, the information I give you is something that you can reference. But I still have to put in a disclaimer by saying that you need to take responsibility of those information. So our subject is fighting for survival. Yes, we're fighting for survival. And you're hiding at home, you're fighting for survival because COVID-19 is not very kind. And if you get it, you could be one of those numbers that is already there. And we have the death toll so much greater. And I was just looking at the statistical data. It was 4 times, right now it's 4 times higher than 1918. So we're going on to 200,000 deaths for the country. That's a lot of people to go, okay? And maybe, someone was saying that it's almost like a way to take out all the baby boomers. And unfortunately, I am also on the list as the baby boomer generation. And this is the book I wrote. And I wrote this book to give people ideas about how to start a business. I am writing the second book right now. It's called Appointment with Ying at 10 a.m. It is planned to be a book to teach people how to grow that business. And I decided to add one more chapter in there called COVID-19, because in this generation, in this world right now, people know what means COVID-19. So if my book will last for centuries and the people would reference that chapter to know the struggle the small businesses are going through and the ways we can survive. And the disclaimer, I had already mentioned that. So now I want to give you a snapshot of government assistance. I want you to know in your mind that what are the assistance out there so you don't overlook any as a small business owner. And you have a stimulus check, right? You know those probably already in some of the people's bank account. And we have economic injury disaster loan application for the 10K loan advance. And I just heard today, some of our clients are getting that. So the 10K was not exactly 10K. It is actually is 1,000 times the number of employees. So if you have 2, you got 2K. And if you have 9, you got 9K. So that's kind of how it came in so far. So I want you to know that there is a such thing like that, and you need to look into, and knowing that if you get into EIDL loan, the loan terms is really favorable. It is 30 years at 3.75%. You only see that on the mortgage. You don't see that in the business loan. So make sure that you're open-minded, and maybe it is time to get a loan to sustain your business going forward, okay? And the PPP loan is also a forgivable loan, and is so popular for the last 2 weeks. People are getting into, some business did get funded, and like I know one restaurant got 20 million. I also know that clients of ours, the restaurant who got 20 million, it is not our client, and I am pretty sure that there's some big shots clients, not my clients. And my clients, I did have quite a few of them getting their PPP amount. So we are gearing towards to making sure that we do good bookkeeping, accounting record, so you don't let the government come back to you and bite you in the rear end and wanting you to return the money and with penalty because you are not doing what you were told to do, okay? So every time when we play with government money, you know that come with a price. It's not free. It might appear to be free. Then if you did something wrong, they ask it back. And if you're non-compliance, it's a charge. So there's a lot of things that come with government money. And the local government also have a different kind of grants. Like in Iowa, we had this $25,000 emergency grant that IEDA gave out. And I know they had a 4 million initially, then expanded to 24 million. And quite a few of our small businesses that we knew and got them. So looks like from the list of the people who gets the loan, looks like it's going to the people that business got shut down by the government requirement, and it is really a way for the business to sustain, still there, paying rent, so they can come back to reopen, right? But of course, we're talking about this is in middle March. Now we're in middle April. 1 month. 1 month being this way had already putting a very heavy burden on small business. Some business can sustain. And I cannot declare that our, community CPA's business is all sound and great. No, it's not like that. We are all suffering. So everyone is going through very dark, deep problems, and we just have to figure out what kind of help we can get. If we cannot get help, we got to self-help to survive. There's no other choice. And if government is not helping you, and you are on your own, and there's so many small businesses are just not privileged enough to get government help, okay? And we have known too many. And if we really use percentage, we got 9,000 clients. And if we're really gonna count on who gets government help, I tell you that is not even 50%. Shouldn't they be 50, 100%? Of course, but it's not. So that is just the reality. So I tell people that if you don't get anything from the government, I am sorry, but no one gonna help you. And you just have to really figure it out how to survive. And we're here to teach you how to survive. Unemployment benefit is another one the government came up to help people. And there's a lot of issues related to the claim of it. So I will go into give you some hot tips over that. Retention credit for employer. This is like a very seldomly talked about government help. It's actually pretty good. And I want to go into a little more detail for you just because it is actually a thing that people could, you don't need to beg government for this one. This is the one that you already have. So if you have employee, you have payroll, you already can do it. So I just want to go through that in the next few slides and give you some ideas. Stimulus check, and I want to just cover all the issues so far we received in our firm, just in case you fall into that category, you know why you didn't get your stimulus check, okay? And we always tell people that if you have a life change in between 18 and 19, you want to file your 19 tax return. So a couple of things we say that, for example, if you get divorced in 2019 and you don't want to wait, you want to 2019, you want to file your 19 return right now because you want the stimulus check comes to you, not come to your spouse in one check of 2,400. You want your 1,200 for yourself, right? But if you have a new babies in 2019, give you a reason to make sure you file 19 returns so your baby gets it. If you have a college student that you put them on your tax return in 18, file your 19 so the college student can get their stimulus check, right? So what if you say that, well, I do have a college student, but the kid didn't make any money, and how did he get it? No problem. You go to IRS website and you are going to click on non-filer payment information. You put in your kid's name and the birthday and everything, no income, they will still get the stimulus check. All right, so that is something I want to mention to the listener. And if you pay taxes in 2018 and you think that you authorize direct draw, so IRS actually have your bank information, right? You think that way, but do you know that it's actually that information does not exist in IRS system? When you make direct payment to IRS, that is totally different than IRS deposit money in your bank account. So if you paid money in 2018 online by putting into your bank information, you don't have a bank information with IRS. So you are going to get your stimulus check late because they have to mail you the check. I didn't know whether the check getting delayed because I was told the president liked his signature to be on the check. I don't know how long it takes that protocols to work. And congratulations, you get a check with a signature from our dear president. If you have a refund and a direct deposit to your bank, then that's one. If your 2018 is okay, you had a direct deposit, you're good. You're gonna get your stimulus check faster. If you have an IT number or your household has an IT number, you're out of luck. You don't have it because that is just how it is. Maybe it can change. For example, I have a client and he got married with a foreign national, so it's still in the process of getting the social security number, and the process started in 2018. It still drags in 19 now with COVID-19, and he's not even getting anything done with immigration. So he actually out of luck because he has his wife with the IT number on the tax return, so he doesn't get it. So he was crying about not being fair. I agree. But I told him that that's too bad because that's just what government is doing. And in the end, you know what? I would just say that why can't we just bite our tongue, say we don't need government help? Why can't we just say that? Why do we need government help? I don't even get it. I don't even get why that idea. I know it is hard to say that because everybody else gets it, but I'm sorry, and you're just not at the same level with the rest of people. And you're 18. Didn't you forget you're a secondary citizen? And now let me remind you, that's what it is, right? So there is the answer. I get angry when I think of these kind of things. If you have not filed taxes in 2018 and 19 and you have so much backlogs, you're trying to catch up, my goodness, this is the right time to do it. Why don't you catch up all of your taxes from the past and file it right now? Why can't you work with the community CPA? Just get it done. And what's wrong with working with us? And we do charge you, but in this special time, and we can come to agreement and you can pay it by installment. And we want you to stand up on your 2 feet because it is the time to do that. Okay. And if you're under audit or owes a lot of money to IRS, let me tell you, you should still get your stimulus check. So that stimulus check should not be discrimination, and it goes for your food. And IRS should not take your money. And I said that because I haven't really had anybody saying that they owe IRS money so they didn't get a stimulus check, because stimulus check's still in the process. Maybe that will be coming up. But if not coming to our clients, I will start digging into it. So stimulus check, okay? Just be, watch out. And in our firm, if our client calls, oh, why we don't get it, we try to help. And you're our client, so we take care of you. And this is where to put in the non-filer information. And I am going to go into a shared screen because I want to share with you what you should look for. And when you go to IRS website, how to do that stimulus check. So my banner is blocking my thing. Okay, so here. So this is the website. You saw that one, right? So this is our website. This is the IRS website. And this is enter payment information. And it says that who is eligible and, you know, has adjusted gross income under claimed limit, which is 12,000. And so if you're a college kid, do not file tax return, just come over here, enter the payment information here, okay? I will try to click it. This morning it didn't work, but now it worked. Get started, right? And so that's how, that's where you will putting in information, even though you didn't file your taxes, you just didn't have income. Then you come over here. You don't need to file your taxes if you don't have income, okay? All right. Let me go back to the slides I have. So now I'm going into the subject related to CARES Act, which is for small business. And folks, and you know that we have these 3 items kind of here. And the emergency grants, which is that 10K I was talking about in the earlier. And this is the one that we really need you to know is available. I think it's already closed, but it was available. PPP and is used up already, but some of the bank and also the loan originators, they're still asking for application because they're anticipating there will be 250 billion additional funding coming to satisfy with the needs of PPP. And 50-50, I don't really, I actually personally do not have any hope for that. And I think that if we issue another 2 trillion or $250 billion PPP, our US dollar value is going to go down so significantly. I don't really know what the dollar gonna be anymore. Of course, my worry count to nothing. And it's just my opinion that PPP is done. If you didn't get it, and don't even learn what that is, don't even look what that is, so you don't get angry or you don't get sad, and it just is done. It's first come, first serve. It was said so clearly by SBA. There is no way anyone can overturn anything that is already done. And the release for existing loans, this is more with the bank again. If they have SBA loan with you and you had a difficult time to pay, and they would work with you. And I have this new link. This is a friend of mine, and it just gave that to me about 2-3 hours before this seminar. And it's a covidloantracker.com. And what I was told, which I want all of you to explore, it tells you that where the loan went, where the PPP loan went. And I think it will be a really good database for us to have, so we understand that. I think for those who didn't get funded, you would feel that you're not alone, because there's a lot of them didn't get funded. And for those who got funded, they will understand that their name and whatever funding they got is out there and it's a public information. And so it is really, as long as it's free from the government, is a public information. So people can look up, and a lot of story would come out of that for sure. All right. The next one is unemployment benefit. This one, I want everybody to understand, whatever the state has for unemployment benefit, because of COVID-19, it got expanded in 2 dimensions. The amount goes up, the time goes longer, all right? So the amount goes up is $600 a week. The time goes longer, is 13 weeks. So whatever you have, and you should get more, whatever you don't have, and maybe you didn't qualify, but now you qualify because it is qualified for business owner, for subcontractors, and for the employees who work with a business. So let's say you are a business owner and you pay yourself a W-2, and you also have several subcontractors, and all of you can go to unemployment benefit, all of you, because you as a business owner, you have the W-2, so you already entitled to it as an employee to your business. The subcontractor, they are considered a business on their own. So they will go to unemployment and they will put in the employer name, not you, but they themselves. And then they put in their 1099 income. And of course, the state wants to know what's the net. But a lot of people who make 1099, the net is 1099. They really make that money, they have that money. And so in that case, you put in the number, then they will calculate your benefit. So the biggest mistake we see, confusion we see, is the 1099 contractors, they take they go to fill in the unemployment benefit, they put in the business, the issuer's name as their employer. Wrong, your own. Just keep that in mind. Okay, that's probably the biggest confusion out there. So we have quite a few incidents where our business owner came back and goes, "Whoa, this person is a 1099, but why is this 1099 person, claiming unemployment? Now they make me answer the eligibility questions." So we know, oh, that's because they put it wrong, and so just educate your 1099. If they haven't applied yet, go apply. And if you haven't applied for it, go apply. If you didn't get any other government benefit, why don't you do this while it's available? It's not going to be available to you all the time. Okay, so just something I ask you to do if you haven't really done that yet. And that is another thing that handled by the state. So it is pretty, it's sort of a grassroots effort. You don't get a lot, but you get something better than, I guess, if we have to compare ourselves with other people, and some people get $2 million for free, and you can get $200 for free, and it's fine, I guess. I would still call it you benefited it, right? Better than some people did not at all. Let's go to the this one. The employee retention credit is the one that I actually want to talk a little bit more because I want your employer to understand. So in the very early time back in March, if you look at my video conference and you actually hear me talking about retention credit, but I was talking about people who are sick. Your employee is sick and you still pay them, and so you get credit. But right now the employee retention credit, you can imagine that it's being expanded. May not be expanded, but just in the earlier time, the understanding is not there. Right now, the understanding is more clear. So other than those employees who are sick, you do it, you get credit. You also get credit if you keep your business going while your business suffering. And there is a the government, the key date is March 12. So what is March 12? March 12 is the beginning of the day the business could suffer. You may not suffer right away. If you're a grocery store, you did not suffer on March 12, and you actually prospered for March 12 all the way probably to now. But I knew from this point on, grocery store will struggle with supplies. So it feels like with all these meat plant factories, food factories are getting COVID-19, and 300 of them in one factory is positive, test positive. Those kind of things will hinder the delivery, will hinder the food production. So with those kind of things going on, the grocery store might be affected in April instead of in March, but the government date is March 12. So what they're saying is it's a refundable tax credit against certain employment tax equals to 50% of qualified wages a eligible employer paid to employee after March 20th, before January 2021. So it has basically a full year open for you to apply for that retention credit. So now let's just kind of use very basic Chinglish, simple English to understand what is that, all right? And the accomplishment of employee retention credit is by Form 72, advanced employer credit due to COVID-19. And you saw that under the pages, there's a link. That is the form you are going to use, okay? Now, let's talk about which employer qualifies, right? And here it says that nonprofit qualifies. How amazing is that, right? And so nonprofit qualifies. Basically, every employer qualifies. And read this. The full or partial suspension of operation of their trade or business during any calendar quarter because of government orders. All right. So it says that limiting commerce, travel, or group meeting due to COVID-19. So government order comes in different shape, different ways. So like our state in Iowa, governor did not issue shelter in place. But in Minnesota, the governor issued shelter in place. So that is basically a shutdown of business, okay? When you have a shutdown in business, you qualify. And or, there is a or. Or means you don't have to have the first one. You can qualify for just the second one. So what does the second one say? The second says the significant declining in gross receipt. What is gross receipt? Gross receipts are the money coming to your bank by your customer's deposit. So if you are doing accrual accounting, which almost like some of the business, for example, if community CPA is running on accrual, and so we issue an invoice out to a customer, to a client hasn't paid yet, we should include that in income, right? That's our gross receipts. That is accrual based gross receipt. But if it is cash-based gross receipt, that means whatever money dropped into the piggy bank, that is the gross revenue, gross receipts. And it is before any of your expenses. So don't think of a gross profit, which is gross receipts minus cost of goods sold. You have a gross profit. No, it's not that. This one just measures whether your bank deposit is going down. So what is significant? The significant means that it's dropped down to 50%. So let's say my second quarter of last year was 500,000. And my second quarter of this year is going to be 200,000. That tells me that I dropped by more than 50%. Then I immediately qualify for this retention credit. All right, I'll tell you how to calculate that, but I want you to understand the concept. And then when is it end? You cannot be dropped. What if you just drop in one quarter, next quarter came back up? And when you came back up, if the total gross receipt is more than 20% of, more than 80% of your last year's same period. So let's say my last year's same period was 500,000. But let's say 500,000, you know, I have to use my calculator. So sorry. My brain half shut due to angry thoughts. 400,000. So let's say my prior year quarter is a 500,000. Then this year my quarter has 400,000. As soon as I make more than 400,000, $1, this is going over what we call this period. So that means you don't qualify anymore. So you only qualify during this time you are below, and you are down below 50%, but you are not coming up to about 20%. Make sense? So that is your gross receipt. So once you qualify, all right, once you qualify, this is the calculation. Now, it calculates your qualified wages, because once you take the qualified wages, they allow you to take back to your business of 50% of qualified wages, 50%. So the maximum qualified wages is $10,000 per employee. So the maximum you can take a credit for is 5,000. So let's say if we have 20 employees, then 5,000 times 20, and you would get 100,000 back to you. How does that go back to you? You have to pay your 941 taxes in full. Then you will go to the 7200 form, get that money back. Okay, so that is kind of how the government is giving you what we call retention credit. But remember, if you don't pay wages and you don't get retention credit, because retention credit means that even if you don't have that workload, but you are keeping people afloat, and they give you that. And it is not exactly dollar to dollar. If you have highly compensated employee, and who, let's say if you're down for 3 quarters, and then you only have 10,000, you only have 5,000, might not even be enough for 1 month payment to a one person, right? So it just depends on your employee type. You may or may not get as much as you want back, but I want you to understand the importance of that. So in this particular slide, it talks about qualified wages. And I want you to look down here on the last paragraph, which is talking about 100 or fewer employees. And above is the larger company. And I look at all of you on my list today. None of us going over 100, so we're good with that. And let's look at this one. So it says that if an employer, which is the company, if the company averaged 100 or fewer full-time employee during 2019, qualified wages are those wages, including healthcare costs, and paid to any employee during the period the operation were suspended or the period of the declining gross receipts, regardless of whether or not the employees are providing service. So whether or not the employee is working or not, it don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. It just says that if you are down, so down, and we give you that credit. Okay, so claim the credit. So now we understand the concept. We claim the credit and the claiming of the credit, and I am going to lead you to the website. All right, so let me share my screen. So I got someone telling me that there was no slides to share. I think I probably did forgot. I'm so sorry. At the end of this talk, I actually collect your question. So if you have questions, just write it in. Like how you tell me that there's no slides. I'm sorry for not putting the slides on there. But now you see the 7,200 advanced employee credit, right? So I started to fill it up with you. I'm going to make it larger. So give me a second. How do I make it larger? Zoom. I'm gonna zoom it. All right. Make it even bigger. Okay. Okay, folks. This is the 7,200 advance payment employer credit. Okay. Let's say you are a company that you are the only employee, and you could apply for this as well, because you are the employee and you are the business owner. So you're gonna put your business in here and give all the business information. Then you're gonna come over here, says 941, right? And so that's what this is to say, tell us about your employment tax return, because they need to know that you paid 941. Okay, so you put in 941. And is this a new business starting after January 1, 2020? And it's no, because they were talking about they're talking about the employee payment that you paid in the past. And if you say yes, you will be using the first quarter. Okay. Then amount reported on line 2 of your most recent file 941. Okay. So we're going to fill in this number. Then you ask me, oh, what is line 2? What is line 2? Right here, I'm going to show you what is line 2. So this is a 940, 2020. And the line 2, wages, tips, and other compensations. So maybe you were paying yourself a $10,000 for your salary and wages. They want that number to be showing up right here, line 2. Where are we? Here. Okay. Enter total employees that you have is 1. Okay. When I do 1, this is already limited you to the total credit, retention credit 5,000. Even if you pay yourself enough pay, and so your maximum benefit is 5,000. Okay. So now total employee retention credit for the quarter. So I'm going to say 5,000, and the total advance. So they say that total amount by which you have already reduced your federal employment tax deposit, which is 940 deposit. You say 0, because don't reduce your 940 deposit, because it's causing too much of a mess for you to reconcile these two. You just go ahead and pay your 941 properly, come to use the 7,200 to get your credit. So then you say total advanced credit request on previous filing of this form for this quarter, and maybe you acquired nothing, so you will get your 5,000 right here. So they will send a check to you. Okay, so this is 7,200 is literally a money form for employer who are suffering with low sales. Okay, so this is the one that wasn't talked a lot, and a lot of information is actually on IRS website. Did you see that? And then this is the employee retention credit. You come over here. I want you to go through here to really study. It's not difficult at all. And this is our survival tip, guys. And you just have to know that it's not hard. You're going to learn, and you are going to figure out all the possibilities you have to survive this difficult time. Unpredictable. We don't really know what's going on, what's happening. And when government helps, it feels so far away from us and it cannot reach. So that is really, that is the outcry of all the small businesses, and not just you. And community CPA can help how many? I mean, we try, but we can't help. We can't even help all of our 9,000 people. We help some. And so it's really, one community CPA doesn't work. I need a collective effort from people who are on this webinar with me. I am so wishing that you are charged with righteous feelings and know that things need to be done better. And if things were not done right, we understand it, we voice it, and we move ahead. And just cannot live in the negative place and be bitter with everything, because that's just not how we should live life. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Okay. And I'm telling this to you, but mainly it is for myself too. And it is a lot going on, and it is over above a ordinary, not so trenched in and not so well connected citizen feels today, right? All right, so we have actually about 10 minutes left. I am going to stop sharing and show my face. And any questions from anyone today? I actually don't see questions, and I saw a chat. Thank you for telling me you don't have slides. By the way, you know that you can come to our website to see the videos we have here. I'm going to our website. And here, the videos, when you come over here, you see how we have the previous webinars. If you click here, you're actually coming in with all the recordings we have in the past. So just come over here to look for information. But a lot of those government stuff, they change so much. What I said, if you check my March webinars, it would not be right. A lot of things changed. Even my mood changed. So look into the most recent one. And we have other ones coming on. We have Chinese version on Monday. Tuesday, I have one. And I'm trying to get the government officials to come to the webinar with me for the Iowa. My ideal is to have people talk about what kind of government help, government changes. For example, with the revenue, Department of Revenue, they can tell us like if we owe taxes to the department, and do they have already have a way to mitigate that? And unemployment benefit, do they already doing many good things to citizens? So we're trying to make our webinar very informative, and you can take a look at all of the time. 3 o'clock is kind of our time. If you happen to feel sleepy at 3 o'clock, just come into our webinar. It will be something interesting. And we use this tool to connect with our folks. We cannot see you. Our office is closed, and we are all working from home. We use these tools to connect with our staff as well. So hopefully you felt like we are still connected, even though we are definitely apart. And All right, I think this is what I have today. I didn't see any questions, so I'm kind of thinking that we're good. And I will see you again on Tuesday. On Monday is Chinese, Tuesday is me again, Wednesday is Vietnamese, and the Thursday is me again, maybe. And the Friday is Spanish. And then Saturday again is this. Oh, um, so someone said that they posted question on the chat. On the chat, let me look chat. Oh yeah, see here. Okay, so here goes. I have a question. Is about applying for SBA EIDL loan and the submitted days they stop taking application. Do you anticipate them reopen that loan? Do you have any advice? And I really don't think they will reopen. And just like PPP, I don't think they will reload. And but the EIDL loan is still there. You can still apply, but you just don't have that 10,000 advance anymore. The EIDL loan, I believe that you can apply directly with SBA. You can also work with banker to apply. But of course, the banks are so beat up by PPP, and they're probably taking a breather. So I don't, why don't you do it early? I'm just almost wanting to beat you up. But even if you do it early, there are people also didn't really hear anything. So it's early doesn't cut. Early doesn't do anything either. It's just a draw of luck sometimes. Yeah, so I had a confirmation from one participant says that, thank you for the advice of staying away from any negative thoughts. Depends on one's help, depends no one's help but yourself. That's really true. Please, I mean, I'm a huge believer of Eckhart Tolle. I don't know whether you know him. He's a Canadian spiritual leader, and when I get into a corner of thinking, I listen to his talk, and he is the person that really trying to teach us to connect with our being, not with our thoughts. So our thoughts is the sole sources to make us depressed. If you think of that way, what you are thinking is what makes you depressed. What you are thinking is also what makes you happy. Why are you even happy or depressed? Why can't you just be connected to your being, your life on your fingertips, the life that you feel inside of you? The blood flow, the breath, the everything that you are living, you are observing. You are the one recognizing the blue skies and the trees, the blooms, the springs. And why can't you just be simple-minded, like people with dementia, just really enjoy that? Can we do that? Let's try. You know what I mean? At this time, that would help. Okay. So okay, so I have the participants saying that they didn't apply because they were caught up in working the business and they didn't think of what's gonna happen to them. And this is yeah, it's the same story. I was caught up in helping other people. Okay, so it's understandable. It's okay, and you don't have to survive with government help, and I don't have to survive with government help. We just do it ourselves, right? And that's really the kind of message we want everybody to receive, to get, and so we can be happy, um, even though normally it is difficult to be, but you can still be. And I will close our talk today with a good thought on stay positive. It's an order. Bye.